Hey there guys, we're taking a look at Mirror's Edge running on the AMD Ryzen 5 5500U with 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now this is currently running at 1080p with the maximum settings and 2x AA. One thing to note is that even though I've set the game to have VSync off, it will not go past 62 FPS. Now that's perfectly fine in this scenario because the refresh rate of the monitor on this laptop is of course only 60 FPS. But if you wanted to hook this up to an external monitor and actually play this on a gaming monitor or on a TV that has, 120 or more hertz, then you're going to be in a tough situation. You're not really going to be able to get that out of this, but the game was not going to give you that FPS anyway. Really, in this scenario, 60 FPS seems to be the perfect sweet spot for this specific game. It runs extremely well on here, and I mean, it ran really well on the 1135 G7, so it was just going to run better here. And of course, here I was actually able to turn up the AA to get a little bit better quality here. One thing to note though is that there is noticeable screen tearing throughout the gaming experience, so you're not exactly going to have the best visual experience, and I would really recommend just turning on VSync. You're not going to be able to get above 60 FPS anyway, and the screen tearing can be distracting to look at. Really, this is just going to be an absolutely great experience playing this absolute classic gem. You're pretty much just going to be able to get a absolutely fantastic experience playing this game on here, even if the screen tearing is very noticeable. Just again, turn on VSync. You're not going to be able to go above 60 anyway, and of course enjoy the game running ultra smooth. One thing to note though is that as soon as you load into a new area, there will be a noticeable drop in 1% low performance. That's perfectly fine. It's just things loading in. Once everything has been loaded in, everything will perform really well. An interesting thing to point out also is that we are using 7 gigabytes of RAM right now. So if we were at the 8 gigabyte limit that we were at before, we might have run into issues here. But really, I think that this is just the game allocating more than it actually needs, because I don't think we would have actually noticed any real performance difference between 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes. One thing I'm finding with these older titles is that they really just don't care about the increase in RAM, which makes sense. I mean, back then, the amount of system RAM that somebody had was more than likely 8 gigabytes. And even though the GPU has to use the system RAM as VRAM, so we're using both VRAM and system RAM here, GPUs back then were not using a lot of VRAM. I remember that back then, the GTX 960 you could get with either 2 gigabytes or 4 gigabytes. And rest in peace to any of the people that got a 962 gigabyte and are stuck still rocking that today. A 964 gigabyte can actually do some pretty good performance. I actually have a friend who she still is rocking a 964 gigabyte in her system because she mostly just doesn't play games and just uses her computer for anything else. But if she's going to join us in a game like Risk of Rain or anything like that, it performs perfectly fine, and I think she would be running into issues if she only had that 2 gigabyte frame buffer. But these older games really are designed to perform on systems like that, which is exactly why we're getting some pretty fantastic performance here. But anyways, I hope you found this video useful. If you did, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time.